Now, I believe you have a name that it's going to be easy for me to remember.
Yeah.
Michael.
Yes.
Oh,
That's
Michael
right.
too.
Yes. Pleasure to meet you.
Pleasure to meet you. Now, let's get started. You were a nurse. What particular nursing were you in? You were a specialist, right?
Yeah, so I went straight into psychiatry.
Wow.
Specialised into psychiatry. They don't do that anymore.
What drew you to that?
I was brought up by my grandparents and grew up in lunatic asylums, basically.
Really? What do you mean?
Yeah, my grandfather was 2nd 16th Battalion, commanding officer there in the Army, and my grandmother was Air Force. So my grandfather went in 39, it's the Perth Battalion, and he came out in 46, and then by about 1950 he was committed. So I used to go with my grandmother every weekend to go and pick him up from the lunatic asylum. And take him home, and he would obviously stay at home. But so I met a lot of returned service people.
This from World War II?
World War II, yeah, World War II. He was World War II, but obviously I met Korean people.
Korean War, I guess, yeah.
Then
Vietnam War?
Vietnam War, and these are people that served our country and were just completely and utterly destroyed. I was fortunate enough to meet 3 of the last surviving World War I service members. So World War I they call it shell shock.
Yeah.
World War II they'd call it battle fatigue.
Okay.
And now they call it PTSD.
Yeah. But the same thing really all the way
It's
through.
the same thing.
Just
These guys are all seriously damaged. The
people who reached their breaking point and then they were still expected to perform.
Well, that's right. The World War I people in particular would just shake constantly. They couldn't sit, they couldn't stand, they couldn't lie down. They were just completely and utterly destroyed. So since obviously I'd spent my whole life around, lunatic asylums, whatever you want to call them.
Can I ask what happened to your parents?
No, my parents were still around, but I was just brought up by my grandmother and grandfather.
But what was that? Was it just like parents were working or?
Kids having kids.
Oh, kids having kids.
Yeah.
So you had the stress of, you're not an orphan, but you're not with your parents,
no.
You're with your grandmother, and you're going to pick up your grandfather, who's been damaged by the carnage of war.
Yes, yeah. He only needed to serve 1 term, but he went up, fought the Japanese, then he went up and fought Rommel in North Africa, and then he went back up to Asia again to fight the Japanese again, and the memorial is next to the main memorial in Kings Park, the 2nd 16th Battalion, so it's the one right next to it, with where they all served. So he would get up in the middle of the night. He'd have to have a net over the bed,
like a
mosquito net, yeah. And in the middle of the night, he'd go out looking for Johnny, one of his soldiers.
Who never came back.
Who never came back. The only story that I ever heard was, and it wasn't from him, he never spoke about it, of course, was that he went in with 22 of his men and only 2 of them came out, him and another bloke.
Oh, my Lord.
So
he's got survivor's guilt.
Yeah, because he's looking for Johnny.
Yeah.
Whoever this Johnny person is, he'd just look for him in the middle of the night and they'd find him all over the place, just going up and down the streets looking for whoever Johnny is. I've no idea, but people that have been through, been there, they don't talk about it.
Why do you think they don't talk about it? Because one thing I love is you finally watch them and they do, and it'll be 60, 70 years later and they tear up, especially the World War I guys.
Yeah.
And you see them that all this time they're trying to keep on to it and they can't.
Yeah.
Do you think it's that, or do you just think they don't want to share the horror with you? They want to keep the horror. Why do you think they don't talk about it?
It's a level of understanding that I'd have no idea about. It's the same as when I have the Afghan and the Iraqi boys that come back. So what I do is I put them into a four bed room. Doesn't matter what branch of the military they're from, but I put them together because, as I say to them, because I'm straight up and down with them, never been to war. I don't know what it's like.
I love it.
I wasn't there.
Yeah.
So look, you're here. Put your boys together. Put them together because they speak their own language. They speak their own lingo.
Yeah.
So they obviously bond because who am I?
Yeah.
Who am I?
I get it.
I've never been.
Yeah.
So I have no comprehension, and for me to even pretend I do is just a lie.
It's like hubris, really.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I say, what was the things with the Afghan boys? What were their afflictions? What were they dealing with?
Well, they call it PTSD, but they were just shattered.
Yeah.
You can lose your arms, you can lose your legs, you lose your mind. So if you lose your arms, you lose your legs, you can still get on with life.
But most of us don't even know they were there.
True.
Because I met a young guy in Melbourne.
True.
Whose Anzac Day had medals.
Yeah.
And I said to him, "Are they your grandfather's medals?" He goes, "No, they're mine." I go, "Yours?" He goes, "Yeah, I was in Afghanistan." I wrote about it because I thought, what an insult from me.
Yeah.
This man's over there fighting in the name of my country, and I'm of the group that doesn't even know he's there.
Yeah.
And so this is what you were saying, was the fact that we were ignorant to their battles. Did that play a part too?
Well, a lot of the time, whatever they've gone through, we weren't there. So unless you're there being shot at, blown up, whatever the case may be, or having to shoot someone, or your mate's been blown up, or who knows, whatever the case may be.
It's war.
It's war. It's war. So that's why I've never experienced that. It's not something you can study, research, or it's all well and good on books and reading about it, but to actually go through it and live like that, I probably wouldn't last 2 seconds. And yet these guys have been there for months, if not years.
Yeah.
So I've got a big soft spot for the return service. Yeah, the vets.
Did you enjoy the job? But you enjoyed the job?
Love it.
And what did you enjoy about it? Just out of interest.
So the people that I look after are people that society has basically disposed of.
Yeah.
They don't know what to do with. And there's very, very few of us that have, interest, I guess, once again, back to my childhood, I saw every day, every weekend, my grandfather, who was just not there. And this guy was a commanding officer and fought in ferocious battles.
And this is years after the war.
Yes. Yes.
Decades even.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. So to see someone like that, and then you've got my grandmother who was devoted to him, thick and, if you have someone that broken, you would have left.
Yeah.
But she was there through thick and thin and supported him and looked after him the whole time. And did anyone else look after him? No. It was my grandmother who looked after him. So I modelled, women on my grandmother, because this is what women do. You've married this guy who's completely destroyed, and you've looked after him.
Through no fault of his own.
Sorry?
Through no fault of his own.
Through no fault of his own.
This is not drinking or...
No.
This is doing his duty for his country as he saw it.
Correct.
And then once he's done his duty, just discarded.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. So that's why, even to this day, we don't have a dedicated veterans health service of any description.
That's incredible.
Well, we don't have a veterans hospital. We've got hospitals for this, we've got hospitals for that, but there's no dedicated government-funded hospital for return service personnel.
And the return service, they must know that.
Oh, absolutely. And when they end up with me, obviously I'm in a general service facility, a public health service. So they end up in the public health service. And a lot of the times they'll go, am I like that guy over there? And I'm like, no, no, you're not. So that's why, I've always said and believed that we need a dedicated health service for return service personnel because they do amazing things.
Do any of them get better, or are you looking after the ones that are just, this is as good as it gets?
The health service is broken up into three. So you have your primary health service, which is your clinics, your GPs, your chemists, your pharmacy, that kind of thing. Then you have your secondary health service, which is your longer term assessment. So that'll be typically people with dementia or something that needs further assessment on what they're going to do. And then you've got tertiary health, which is what I'm in. And I look after the most severe people in the state.
Yeah.
So I prefer and I like looking after the most severe people. It's either life or death with nearly all of them. So and I've got to act fast, quick, because they will die. And I've seen a lot of people, dead, either dying or dead or whatever the case may be. So I take the gambit, and the worst are kids. Particularly, when they've successfully killed themselves, either, hanging or, slashing or, jumping in front of the car, whatever the case may be. I've dealt with all of that, and kids are just horrendous because they're kids.
Yeah.
So they're babies.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So to lose a kid, not only for the family and their friends and all this kind of stuff, but for the clinicians that are involved, is just horrendous. Any death is horrendous.
Yeah.
No doubt. But particularly when you're looking at young people, and that's why prior to all this, I was building the youth service. So you've got children service, young, and then the adult service, and then the older adult service. And I was building the youth stream. So I built the hospital and the home community service for youth, while Neil, another colleague, was building the hospital for youth. And when I say youth, I'm talking sort of 15 to 25-year-olds, that sort of gap, because they fall between kids and they fall between adults.
Yeah.
And some 15, 16-year-olds are more like 21, 22-year-olds, and vice versa. Some 21, 22 are like kids.
Well, people age at their own time.
Correct, of course. Everyone's different.
That's why in the school, when they're doing all this sexual education, I think, listen, let the kids develop it.
Absolutely.
Some kids are losing their virginity at 12.
Correct.
I mean, I'm sorry, but they do. I know my dad lost it early. Others are in their 20s. Some in their 30s.
Correct.
It's just their natural evolution.
Yeah, correct.
How is it dealing with the suicide of youth in a country that's supposed to be so lucky, and yet here with our youth suicide, and I mean suicide rates altogether, but with our youth suicide, we're thinking, why are they leaving us? We're in the luckiest country in the world. Why are they leaving? It speaks to something you're wrong in the foundation of the country's value system.
You're 100% right, and the problem is that like firefighters, they go to a fire and they just don't put it out. They go, how did it start? What caused it?
Yeah, exactly.
What accelerated it?
Or like a plane falling out of the sky. Why did it fall out of the sky?
Same thing, Whereas in the health service, people come in, we patch them up, off they go. So what's the root cause of, what's the root cause analysis? Why are these people presenting with all these different illnesses? Because everyone throughout their whole life will experience some sort of mental health issue.
Yeah, of course.
So it doesn't matter if it's a kid right through to obviously someone who's older. So, you know, there's lots of people with anxiety, there's lots of people with depression, there's lots of people with psychotic illnesses, and there's lots of people with dementia illnesses. So the youngest dementia patient I looked after was only 32.
Oh my Lord.
So, but now kids are having dementia, developing dementia. So, you know, why?
Yeah.
You know, I always ask the question, why?
Instead, we get scientists are baffled.
Well, yeah.
Doctors are baffled.
Yeah.
That's what we get.
That's right.
Can I just go back for a sec? You said you didn't know what it was like to be a soldier, but in a way, you are, because you're dealing with people who are in the vicinity of death. Like, you know, they've had enough, I'm going to commit suicide. And your thing is to try and keep them alive.
Absolutely.
And they just want to let go, and you're trying to get them to hold on.
Absolutely.
So every day as a nurse, you were getting in there, in the front line of just trying to stop people from leaving.
Every single day.
Every single day.
Every single day.
Wow.
You know, every single day. So
how do you deal with that getting home if it's been exhausted? Say you lost someone yourself, did the whole thing get around you? What can we do to help you? Or if you lost someone or a few people on a day, did you have to go home and just deal with that yourself?
Yeah, of course.
Like your grandfather did?
Yeah, of course. That's just, you know, that's what you do, you know. And it depends on how seriously you take the position. You see, I'm old school. I'm second last class out of the specialists. So I came out mid-year, then the last class came out at the end of the year, and then the speciality of psychiatry nurses disappeared. It is now in the university. So what they do is they do 1 month of theory, they do 2 weeks of prac, and they automatically can work in psychiatry. So that means if you work on that theory, I can do 1 month of theory and 2 weeks of prac in a maternity hospital and become a midwife.
Okay.
If you want to work on that theory.
Yeah.
But you obviously you can't.
No.
So I was specially trained.
Yeah.
Dealing with the most severe cases in the state. Compared to someone who's gone to school and learnt the theory of it in a month and 2 weeks prac, what would you know?
Can I ask, so how long were you doing the job?
30 odd years.
So you're 30 odd years on the front line of life and death. What was the turnover of nurses in?
The burnout rate of a nurse is 2 years after graduation.
So 2 years most people left, but you stuck it out for 30 years.
Yeah.
Okay, before we get to the next part, tell us about your partner. What was she doing for work?
She's in surgery.
Okay.
So she's a surgical specialist.
A doctor or a nurse?
Nurse,
okay.
Right. Loved it.
Yeah.
She's worked around the world, and she's obviously a senior as well.
So she's the one helping the doctors or getting everything lined up. This is what you need, scalpels, making everything is...
What people misunderstand about nursing is they think that you just wipe asses and clean bedpans.
Yeah.
The nurses actually run the place.
Yeah.
The doctors come in, they do their consults, and they leave.
Yeah.
The nurses are there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Patient advocates.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We're there all the time. So we're on the front line running the place. So when the medicos or whoever it might be, either doctors, OTs, psychologists, social, whatever, or other medical specialists come in, they speak to me because I'm running the show. I'm in charge. So all the nurses come to me, all the patients, everyone comes to me. So that's why when the professors come in or the consultants come in, they speak to me. They want to know what's going on, and I need to know exactly what's going on with every single patient that's in the facility. So the nurses that are, I'll allocate nurses to whichever patients, and they'll have, however many patients depending on their capacity, the nurse's capacity, and depending on the patient's capacity, because some patients are one-on-one. So some patients I'll have to have one nurse to one patient. Some patients I'll need to have 2 or 3 nurses to one patient. So, and then I've got others that I can sort of split up a little bit more. But the caseload, the pressure that the staff are under is absolutely huge, because what's happened over the decades is they've moved psychiatry from its own hospitals. So we had our own psychiatric hospitals, and they've moved them into general hospitals. So therefore, you get dumped on, because psychiatry is not real medicine. It's not real health. So when there's an overflow or an issue, they dump them in onto us. Whereas when we had our own independent hospitals, we would have people in there for 1-2 years, and they would come in with their acute episode. They would recover, go get a job, sort themselves out, find a place, whatever, and they'd say, "Mike, can you sort out discharge? I'm ready to go." "Yep, no worries, mate, done." Whereas now, you're lucky to get a couple of days and pump you full of pills and off you go. So that's why we've got what they call a revolving door syndrome, where the patients are just coming in and out all the time because they haven't had time. Unlike other areas of medicine, you have rehab units, you have rehab facilities.
Yeah.
So, and that's typically your secondary hospitals. So we used to have Swanbourne Claremont, which was the old asylum that housed 10,000 people back in the day.
So let's talk about asylums, because they don't have them anymore, do they? So we have a lot of mental health mental health out there who you can see need help.
Yes.
And they're basically on their own.
Yes.
Where we used to have asylums for them.
Yes.
So when you worked in those asylums, did you think they were a good thing, our society needed them?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So anyone who stares at 4 walls, anyone who stares at 4 walls is going to go mad. I would go mad.
Yeah, me too.
Anyone. Yeah, they use solitary confinement for torture in areas of war.
Yeah, that's right.
So when you take people out of a facility, they call them, institutions, or call them whatever you want, doesn't matter. That's a community of people. So they were self-sufficient. So we had market gardens, fruit and veg and all that kind of stuff. We had, cattle, sheep, the whole lot. One of the last ones we had here in WA was Whitby Falls, or Whitby Farm, which was a farm.
Okay.
Back of Armidale.
Yeah.
So very hard place to get into, to get a patient in there.
Yeah.
Let alone to work there.
Yeah.
Because it gave everyone purpose, in the sense of, you're looking after the fruit and veg, you're looking after the cattle, you're looking after whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
So it was a farm.
Yeah.
And that's what it was called. It was called Whitby Falls, Whitby Farm.
Yeah.
It was a fantastic model.
So it's therapy through purpose.
Absolutely.
the animals needed them and they felt they belonged, so they felt they had a reason to be here.
Absolutely.
So they stuck around.
I mean, you can see that in aged care facilities when people take in dogs or cats or something like that, and the residents in the facilities lighten up. Because, you know, an animal and they're, you know, patting the animal.
Same with little kids.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Same thing. So I've always advocated to go back to that in a sense of not the big old, you know, the 2-story ones like Swannonbong, Claremont had big 2-story buildings and there was 10 of them.
Yeah.
And like I said, you know, there was 10,000 odd people in them.
That's incredible, isn't it?
It's a huge population when Perth had a smaller population, obviously. So where have all those people gone?
That's right. They're on the streets.
And obviously the population's grown. Where are all these people? You know, where are they?
Yeah.
You know, so there's a lot of people out there that need help and they're not getting the help. And depending on the particular illness, particularly when you've got someone with schizophrenic illness, they can't even organise themselves to put their shoes on, let alone find their way to a hospital to say,
pay
look,
their
I
bills,
need... Yeah,
like
absolutely. The voices are screaming in their, you know, in their head, and they're saying all sorts of things. I mean, I've seen really horrendous people that have been born with, you know, psychotic illnesses through no fault of their own.
Yeah.
And these people are absolutely tortured people. So, but these are the people I love looking after, you know.
Which you did for 30 years.
30 odd years, yeah.
Okay, well, let's get to the crux now. So you're on the front line for 30 years.
Yeah.
And we don't know you're there. You're like the unknown soldier, but we benefit as a society from having you there, someone with your passion. And yet COVID comes along and you and your partner decide not to take the jab for your own reasons.
Well, look, it was simple. It was really, really simple. There's no rocket science about this, and, you know, your audience will already know this, but so beginning of 2019, I was doing the youth hospital in the home service, building that. Then September, August, I started seeing this, you know, flu floating around the world.
Yeah,
and it was ramping up and ramping up and ramping up. Now every 1st of December through to the 1st of February, all the execs take leave. And I'm in charge of the whole facility. So everything goes through me.
Yeah.
Because obviously I'm the most senior and most experienced and all the rest of that kind of stuff. And they all trust me because they know I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So obviously I'm got the radar up, watching what's going on. So I'm there 2019, so Christmas, New Year, it's Christmas Day, Boxing Day, New Year's Eve, Australia Day. I'm there and watching, you know, this flu floating around. And I'm waiting for, you know, because I'm obviously in communication with the emergency department constantly, and obviously the other wards. So I'm just waiting for a person to come in. Now, when there's something floating around, doesn't matter what it is, bacterial, viral, doesn't really matter. The first people that come in are the homeless.
Okay.
Because they're the ones that are exposed to the elements.
Yeah.
So they're the first people that come in. So I had no presentations, no admissions, no nothing. Nothing was going on. So 1st of February, the execs come back.
And is this when the news was saying that the hospitals were overflowing? Or wasn't that there yet?
No, not yet.
Okay.
So I take a couple of weeks off. Because obviously all the execs are back, report to them, tell them how everything went, give them all the information, and take a couple of weeks off, come back, and off we go. So I came back and they said, right now, we're going to use this facility, a $30 million facility, for the statewide coronavirus unit. So what that means is that, and which we do anyway, is we take everyone from anywhere in the state. So someone presents to Kalgoorlie Hospital or wherever it might be. They'll RFDS them to us, and then obviously we sort them out, because obviously it's like everything else. You're only as good as the tools of your trade. So, you know, we're a major hospital that's obviously attached to the university. And so we have students of all different types of clinicians, and we have the most sick people in the state. So I was obviously waiting for these people to come in.
Were you scared at that point?
No, God, no.
You weren't bothered by it?
No, not at all. No, because it's like anything else.
Yeah.
You know, it's something's floating around in the air.
So this was your job?
Yeah.
You didn't have the fear of it?
No.
Yeah.
No. What for? You just, it's just.
Yeah, I met other nurses that said the same. Yeah.
It's just stock standard.
Yeah.
So, and then what happened was the 11th of March 2020, the WHO called a pandemic. So the World Health Organization said that there's a pandemic, and the staff went absolutely mad. Crazy. We're all going to die, you know, and all this kind of stuff, you know. I said to them, look, have you seen anyone drop dead outside? Have any of your family members dropped dead? Do we have any patients? We've got an empty facility, because obviously I had to empty the facility out to wait for this supposed, I don't know, explosion of patients into our facility. And so you have a presentation to the emergency department, and then from there you have an admission into the hospital. So a lot of things can be sorted out at the emergency department level, and that's a presentation. But once they've assessed that this patient needs to be admitted into the hospital, they're admitted, you know, with COVID, they would be admitted with us. So the 11th of March 2020, pandemic, and I had not one patient. Not one patient. And I'm like, what's going on here? You know, you got it on the TV and the radio and this and that and the other, but I'm not seeing it on the ground.
Yeah.
You know, I am the statewide coronavirus unit, you know, and we've got nothing, and everyone's going mad. So
have you experienced anything like that before as a nurse?
God, no.
Okay, so this is a really new territory.
Yeah, no, I've never seen anything. I've been through heaps of, you know, bad
all the
winters
AIDS virus and stuff.
I've seen all that. I've seen all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
So obviously everyone's going mad. They're just losing their mind. And I'm like, so when you're at work and you go home, you leave the madness at work.
Mm.
And the madness is with the patients, not with the staff.
Yeah.
There was no patients, and the staff were all mad. So I'm like, this is just crazy. You know, crazy. You point to me one person who's sick or dropped dead or whatever the case may be. Nothing. So 2nd of April, so the 11th of March when WHO said that, 2nd of April, I walked out. And because I didn't technically resign, I just walked out. I'm like, this is mad. Whatever's going on here, you know, I'm not being part of this.
Mm-hmm.
This is madness. I've been through so many different flus and all sorts of stuff that have happened. I've been through so many different crises. You know, I've seen so much over 30 odd years in so many different hospitals all over the place. And this is crazy. So 2nd of April, I walked out and jumped on a plane and flew to Darwin.
Oh,
Well, you know, if they want to go mad, I'm going to go sit up in the sun and enjoy myself up there. A beautiful place up there. It was great. I was living the dream.
yeah.
Very, very happy. And obviously, while up in Darwin, I was watching the southern states on fire.
Yeah.
You know, lockdowns and all sorts of stuff, and, you know, all the carry on that was going on. And then when they started talking about, you know, the jab, they came out on the 22nd of February 2021.
Oh, good memory.
And I said, no, it's going to... First of all, they said it's experimental. It's mRNA, so it's genetics, and it's never been tested before. And anyone knows that vaccines, for the want of a better word, take 10, 15, 20 years to develop. So this thing's come out in less than a year, never been tested. Humans have never been GMO'd. Never been, you know, with the mRNA, have never been GMO'd. Other organisms, plants, animals, all that have, but humans have never been. So I thought it was a nothing burger. I thought no one's going to prescribe that. No one's going to take that. You know, where's the literature? Where's the evidence? Where's the studies? Where's the ingredients? Nothing. So I thought it's a nothing burger. So while I was up in Darwin watching this unfold in the southern states, I was blown away watching people line up for this stuff. And I'm like, what is going on?
It's like, you know, you used to go to work in a lunatic asylum.
Yeah.
It's like the lunatic asylum, you're now living in it.
The whole world went.
That's right.
The whole world, it was like, holy moly.
Yeah.
This is, what is going on?
Yeah.
You know, so I was stunned, really. You know, I was stunned because it's, you know, it was experimental and all the rest of that kind of stuff. You know, your audience knows all this stuff.
Yeah.
They're well read. They're not silly people. It should have stopped at the health service.
Yeah.
So, you know, if you say to me, you know, Mike, I want a Panadol, and I say, there you go, and you say, I don't want it. You know, all medical interventions in Australia are voluntary.
Yeah, that's right. I've heard that.
It's as simple as that.
Yeah, I think Dr. Oosthuis told me, even if they're on the operating table, they're all ready to go, and they say no, it stops.
That's the same with the missus, you know, because that's what she does. So even if the patient signed the consent form and all the rest of that kind of stuff, and she's wheeling them in, and they say, no, I don't want it, hands off.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hands off.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
Medical intervention is voluntary. The only time it's not voluntary is if you're under the Mental Health Act or under the Biosecurity Act. Now, but that's on an individual basis, and that is very, very closely and heavily monitored.
Yeah.
You just can't go whacking people on, you know, in my particular case, the Mental Health Act willy-nilly.
Yeah.
You can't go doing those types of things. You've got to have good reason to put them under the Mental Health Act.
So it's stringently regulated.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Which you would expect.
Absolutely.
That makes sense.
I just can't put you under the Mental Health Act and car you off.
Yeah.
You know, that's just, no, that just doesn't happen. You know, people have this idea of one flew over the cuckoo's nest. And, you know, I watched that years later after I trained, and obviously been working for a long time, and I watched it and I hated it because I'm like, it's all bullshit.
Oh, that's interesting.
It's all bullshit. The whole lot's bullshit.
Yeah.
It's just That's not true. None
Yeah.
of it's true. So I've watched it once, and I'm like, that's bullshit, and it's a misrepresentation of what we actually do.
Yeah.
You know, we're there to look after.
So
the
you
most
weren't Nurse
vulnerable
Ratched?
people. No, absolutely not.
Yeah, yeah,
no,
yeah.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
No.
So what did you do? You're out there. Did you want to come back to hospital and work, or did you realise if you wanted to do that, you'd have to jab up with this stuff?
Well, no, because so when I started, you needed your license. First thing you do, there's your license, and they say, when can you start? You know, because there's no staff. There has never been any staff. So, I'll roll up, meet with the director, and the director will say, can you start now?
Yeah, well,
Or can you start this afternoon, or whatever the case may be. When can you start? You needed your license. Then they brought in
that's not a drive. That's a nursing license.
nursing license. Yeah. And obviously a specialist nursing license. Then they brought in what do they call it? National Police Check.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not a criminal of some description.
Yeah.
And brought in Working with Children's Check.
Yeah. I'm not a pedophile check.
Yeah, so fair enough.
Yeah.
That's fine. So that's all. That was it. If as long as you're licensed, and you've got your police and Working with Children's check, you're good to go.
Yeah.
It wasn't until after all this stuff happened. Now, for me to go back, I have to have between 10 to 15 jabs to go back into the health service.
Wow.
Students that all sorts of clinical students, doesn't matter if it's nursing, medicine, occupational therapy, whatever the case may be, they need to have 3 COVID jabs and flu jab just to start the course.
Wow.
So they need 4 jabs just to start the course. I need 10 to 15, but they don't call it jabs now, you see. They call it CPDs.
What does that stand for?
Community Preventable Diseases.
So what we're saying now is it's very hard to get people to do this job. So the people who have a calling for it, we're blessed to have them. But now we're saying not only are we very lucky that you'll be there to care for our mentally ill or to care for our people, but we need you to basically take something into your body that you don't want to take so that you can have the privilege of looking after us.
Correct.
That's what we're looking at.
Yeah, correct. So it's a no-win
It's
situation.
extraordinarily arrogant and rude of us, don't you think? I mean, it's not like you have a mechanic saying, you got to go out and do this before you can work on my car. You're just grateful you got a mechanic, But now that's why when I was in hospital getting over my heart, and I found the staff were great. They were just great. I could see they're under pressure. But I remember once when I was doing my exercise rounds, this nurse came in from another ward, and she had the new jab that they all had to take. And I was just watching the nurses. They were all sort of politely to scatter.
Yeah.
They all had places to go. They were saying, I'm going to get next week of this. They didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
But the government or the medical system is going, well, tough.
Yeah.
If you want the privilege of caring for us, jab up.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and that's why I say it should have stopped at the health system, because the health system should have said, okay, we've got this new medication. Where's the literature? Where's the studies? Where's the ingredients?
Yeah.
Where's the short-term studies, the medium-term?
You wanted informed
studies?
consent.
Well, you cannot give informed consent unless you have the information.
Yeah.
So when I have patients that have started on, that's going to start on a new medication that they haven't had before, I provide them with all the information, and they can decide if they want to take it or not.
Yeah.
Like I said, the only way you can force it on them is if they're under the Act. But if they're voluntary, you can't force anyone to.
So it's almost like buyer beware. There you go. There's all the information. You read. If you want to go forward, it's up to you. You take the final responsibility.
Correct.
And if you say no at any point, we'll stop.
Correct.
Which seems totally to make common sense. It seems to be decent way to be. Can I just go back? What happened to your partner? Did she?
So so since she's in the surgical area, so your main areas of a tertiary health service is your emergency department and your surgical, your theatres.
Yeah.
They're your two hard-hitting, you get rid of everything else and they're your two hard-hitting ones. So she was obviously in the hard-hitting ones. So she was up against the top surgeons of the state, top anaesthetists of the state. They were the gods of the state telling her, because obviously she's in a leadership role and you cannot have one of the leadership people dissenting. So they sacked her.
How long has she been a nurse?
Nearly 30 years.
30 years of a nurse.
Yeah.
I feel she has the same dedication as you.
She loves it.
She loves it. So 30 years a nurse, loves her job. And then did they do what I've heard they've done to other nurses who I've interviewed, where they put on her final thing, gross misconduct?
Yeah. So she had professional misconduct.
Professional misconduct.
Professional misconduct.
Which sounds terrible.
Yes.
And yet it's just because she didn't want to take an experimental jab.
And she wouldn't administer it to anyone. Why would she administer it to anyone when she has no information on it either?
So she doesn't want to take it, so why would she let anyone else
Absolutely.
take it? Yeah.
I mean, it's just...
Were you the same?
Well, I'd already left.
No, but if you'd been there, would you have had an issue with giving it to people?
I wouldn't give it to anyone. I wouldn't give it to anyone because obviously, as the time went on, obviously I'd researched what was going on, and it's like, hang on, well, I mean, even right from the get-go, like I said, they said it's experimental, and I'm not an experimental nurse.
Yeah.
I don't deal with experimental stuff. I only deal with stuff that's tested, proven, heaps of research on it. That's it, the stuff I deal with. It's like going from adults to kids. That's a different field altogether.
Yeah.
Because kids use different dosages of different kinds of medicines and all that kind of stuff. So being an adult clinician and then being an experimental clinician, no, I'm not trained in that, and I'm not doing that. It's as,
so they would have sacked you too.
Oh, they would have said, absolutely, of course.
So your 30 years as a job, I'll leave your partner aside for a sec. This still happens now.
Yes.
If someone says, oh, this is my, say we got your father and your daughter meets a guy, they always say, what's he do?
Yeah.
That's how so you've been 30 years, you're a nurse, and you're proud of what you're doing, you're a nurse.
Yeah.
Suddenly, you're not a nurse.
Yeah.
And so what happened from there, the journey of suddenly I'm unemployed,
Yep.
I'm no longer a nurse.
Yep.
How did you deal with that? And how were your family and friends treating you? Were you ostracized or did they understand?
No, they hated us. They absolutely hated us because in her family and my family, we're the only two that have tertiary education, and we're the only two that work in tertiary health and have very senior positions. We're the crazy ones because we should know better.
So all your training, that doesn't mean anything.
No.
You're just in trouble because you just didn't do what you were told.
Yeah.
Because you didn't comply.
Yeah. So all of her family took it, all of my family took it, and as a result, half my family, well, they're obviously all sick, dying or dead. And by the time this is all said and done, I'll have one brother left. So there's 4 of us boys. I've got one brother who didn't take it. So all my aunties and uncles will go, my cousins will all go. I've lost a lot of friends already, because obviously a lot of our friends are clinicians as well. So
when you say lost, they just don't want anything to do with you?
No, they're dead.
They're dead.
They're dead. Yeah, no, they're gone. You know, I don't go to funerals anymore. The last one I went to was with one of my mates who's a clinician, and he had 3 jabs and 3 heart attacks and dead. And that was me. That's enough. I'm not going to any of these. I said my piece. I just don't do it. And it doesn't matter if they were clinicians or whoever they were. I'd just say, as I've just said to you, it's experimental. It's mRNA.
Yeah.
And it's never been tested.
But they're calling you crazy.
Absolutely, they still do. I'm a cooker.
As we are, brother. But they're calling you a cooker, and yet they're still dying and getting sick. And it's just come out today. We have the cancer rates. Australia is the winner now.
Yes. Yeah.
426 per 100,000 or something.
Yeah.
We're in the world.
Yeah.
Everyone's baffled.
Yeah.
How do you deal with knowing what you know and seeing these people who you probably still love?
Yeah. Correct.
Dying, and it's just happening. I mean, it's like living in a death camp. How do you deal with that?
So first of all, I had my nephew go.
How old is he?
He was 23. Got up out of bed, as you do, make a cup of coffee in the kitchen, and dropped dead of a heart attack. So
Can I stop there? I had a heart attack and I survived.
Yeah.
As far as I know, and I had 2 and I survived both of them, and then they operated on me. But as far as I know, generally young people don't have heart attacks unless there's something wrong with their heart.
Yes.
And when people usually have heart attacks, they survive the first few.
Yes.
So to have him just drop dead of a heart attack,
Yes.
is that normal or is that quite unusual?
It depends on the type of heart attack, because there's all different types of heart attacks.
All right.
So, but if you blow your aorta and you just bleed out in the blink of an eye,
yeah,
it's over.
And did he have that, or what was his form of heart attack?
I don't know, because obviously I didn't have the his records or anything like that.
Yes, they probably won't give you anyway because they don't want you to know.
No, that's right. So, but the family, I said to them, 23-year-olds don't have heart attacks.
Yeah.
And the family are like, of course 23-year-olds have heart attacks. He's just had one. He's dead. And I'm like, are you joking me? So it's a very surreal, it's like you're in I don't know.
The other thing we dealt with, and we say this a lot, is for about 3 years, anyone who didn't take it lived with a distinct possibility. It didn't happen, but the distinct possibility that could happen, that we could have a knock on our door or turning up 3 in the morning and we'd be taken off for our safety to either this camp that I think it's in down the road from here.
Yeah, it's in Bullsbrook.
In Bullsbrook, and they either taken to the isolation centre or whatever they called it. So you're dealing with that.
Yeah.
How, because you seem to be so level-headed, how are you holding yourself together? And did your partner manage to do it too, when you've got all these people passing away, getting sick, people you love, and no one's allowed to grieve properly because no one's allowed to, they have to die in the lie.
Yeah.
You've got that. You've also got the thing that if they did turn up and take you away, your neighbours and family friends, the only sympathy you'd get is, well, you should have taken the jab.
Correct.
So you'd have no sympathy, anything. And you're dealing with this world that has continually becoming crazier.
Yeah.
I mean, you're a mental health nurse.
Yeah.
And now you're living in a world that's bonkers.
Yeah.
It's absolutely bonkers.
Yeah.
How are you coping with that, with you and your partner? Is it your love that keeps you together? You're still together? You're still...
Yeah. Well and truly. Yeah, well and truly. If anything, it's brought us closer.
Yeah, I get it. That's what I was hoping you'd say.
Yeah, if anything, it's, brought us closer.
Yeah.
Because there's not many of us, there's not many of us. Now, my understanding, and I don't know if the numbers are true, but as far as the government's concerned, there's only 39,000 people in Western Australia that haven't had any jabs at all.
Yeah.
Now, according to Prof. Brighthope, 96% of Australian adults have had 2 or more jabs. Right. So, those numbers are horrendous,
Yeah.
whichever way you want to look at it. So, the way we deal with it is that we're very, very future focused in the sense of we know what to do to help people. So once people get to the stage of realizing of what's actually happened, they're going to be seeking people that need that can help. So it's not only just nurses, but we know doctors, nurses, occupational therapists, natural therapy people. We know a whole heap of people that have lost their jobs, they've lost their licenses, they've lost absolutely everything. So it's not a matter of we don't have the people that can help.
Mm.
The issue is we, like anything else, we need the resources.
Yeah.
Like anything else. So you're only as good as your as your tools. So to give you an example of that, I get sick from being around people that have been vaccinated. So
Is this a shedding thing?
yeah, shedding. Yeah. So far this year I've been sick 3 times. Now some people report they can smell it, or they smell rotten flesh, or they smell metallic.
The metallic thing, I interviewed a woman, it was a brutal interview actually, in Mandurah. A young mum, she had 3 kids, and the husband took it. She didn't want him to take it. He took it to try to keep them a house above their heads, and it killed him. And she said when she walked in the room in the last few days, the room smelt of a metallic smell. And his 2 other kids don't even know he's gone. They're so young. And it was, I should see if I can still find him. It was just brutal. But that metallic smell was there.
Yeah.
So you're saying it too. You can smell.
No, I can't.
But other people are saying that.
Yeah, this is what other people report.
Yeah.
But I can't. What happens with me is I'll go out and it'll be a group of people, and then come home.
Yeah.
And then the next thing, I've got high fever, vomiting, typical high fever stuff, shivering, shaking, sweating, like I said, vomiting. I'm bedridden, and there's where. I mean, even I went into the city just, to go into the city to catch up with some business, and came home that I'm sick, crook, wiped out. So I get violently ill. And
you would think as a nurse that you'd have an exceptional immune system, because you've spent most of your life surrounded by
I think it's because early in the piece, obviously I knew what was going on, and I was helping people that were injured. So this is right at the beginning. Word gets around, people speak to people, and they say, look, speak to this guy. So obviously, I go and see them, and they're injured through obviously being jabbed. And, I help them with, getting onto the right track, right this, right that. And, so I was exposed. So, if you look at what, it's a simple thing. This is all rudimentary, simple thing. If you look at what a virologist wears a suit with its own air supply, completely, bang.
We've seen the films.
Yeah, that's what they wear.
Yeah, like astronauts.
Yeah, biohazards.
Yeah.
That's what they wear. But we've all been exposed.
Yeah.
It's in the air. I mean, it's in the ground. It's absolutely everywhere. Yeah. So, so it goes obviously into your arm, goes into your fluids basically. And then it comes out through your tears, your sweat, your breathing. There's a lot of air that comes, water that comes out when you're breathing. During sexual intercourse, it's transmitted during sexual intercourse. I mean, my son's that. I was in hospital with him only a couple of days ago. So he hasn't had it, but he was in a relationship with a woman who had 2 jabs, and he's got cardiac failure from it now. He's only 22.
Oh my Lord. Did he have any cardiac?
No.
Okay.
No, of course not. No. And was in hospital with a suspected stroke. So, this is what I mean. He's 22. He's going to need a pacemaker or something by the time he's 25, and probably, a heart transplant,
I hate to say it, but I've interviewed a father who's a radiographer, I think, and his 21-year-old son needed a heart transplant.
Yeah.
And he's gone from being a true believer in vax to now he came on my show just to talk. But afterwards I saw the son, and initially the image of the son was this big strapping. He was doing everything, totally healthy, totally fitness fanatic.
Yeah.
Now he's just this skeleton, like something out of a Changi Japanese camp.
Yeah.
And even though he's positive about it, it's like, why aren't we investigating this? Young people having heart attacks and strokes. We've got infertility off the scale.
Correct.
And instead of doing something about it, you get online and they're going, oh, we found a new way to do mRNA. Now it's going through a breath thing. Yeah. Now we're getting it that in Japan, I think it does it itself. So not only shedding, but I actually vaccinate you just by being with you.
Correct.
And they're doing this in Japan, even though they have Japanese doctors coming out going, this is murder.
Yes.
And there's this huge battle going on. Is that what you feel like? Do you feel like this is either just business, like a bad business that's lost its way? You know what I mean? Like the vaccines are like a business model. You have to take it. If something gets wrong, you can't sue us. So naturally, it's an incentive to keep creating new vaccines. Or do you think it's something deeper, like we've got some spiritual war or something going on?
Oh, yeah, we're definitely this is a world war. There's no to me, there's no two ways about it. To me, it's a holy war.
Yeah.
And the reason why I say it's a holy war is because, it's a war between good and evil.
And have you been very religious before this?
Well, I was brought up, I was an altar boy.
Okay. Did you survive the priest?
Yeah, I survived the priest. I survived.
I never got to the altar. I thought either he's got a big mouth or I wasn't pretty enough. I don't one of them.
Yeah, and I was an altar boy. I was a swimmer, and all the a good boy. I was a good boy. So I firmly believe that it's it's a war between good and evil, and it's a war between Satan and obviously the good people. And I believe that it's particularly being a holy war. It's a war of the Satanists and the Christians in particular. So this war's been going on for a long time. This war's been going on for a minimum 10 years, if not 80 years. Some people say 80 years. Some people say, thousands of years.
I've heard all those
things, yeah. Whichever way, but one way or another, when they're trying to kill you en masse, it's a war.
Yeah, 100%.
It's as simple as that. So recently I had my brother, he had 5 jabs and then went to the hospital and they euthanized him. So,
what do you mean they euthanized him?
So
how old was he?
My younger brother. So he's a few years younger than me. He's 3 years. I'm the eldest of 4, and he's number 2. So he's dead. He died about 5-6 weeks ago now. So we've gone from.
Were you close?
Well,
pre-COVID, were you close?
Well, no, my other brother. So I've got one brother I'm close with, and then the other brother was close with the other one. So the one that was euthanized in the hospital, the brother that he's really close with is now in Casuarina prison, the maximum security prison, because he lost it. Because that was his mate, that was his brother, and the interesting thing is his court appearance isn't until what's today? Today's Tuesday. His court appearance isn't until Friday, and he's already in maximum security prison, and he hasn't even had his first day in court. And this is the world we live in. It's like, hang on, you haven't even said, this guy's sentenced to whatever, or on bail, or who knows what they're going to say or do or whatever. He's in the worst prison in Western Australia. Where all the...
So he's lost his brother.
Yep.
Now he's lost his freedom.
Yep.
I do know the story behind this. It's up to you whether you want to tell it. It's up to you. But so he lost it. He's there.
Yep.
Just going back to your brother who was euthanized, did you get a chance to say goodbye to that brother?
Got the phone call. So the other brother and I, the one that I'm close with, we got the phone call Thursday night at 6:30 that he was being euthanized at 8:30 the next day. And we're like, what? I mean, it was like, what? What? Just what? And I said to my brother, look, because they do it two ways. You either, drink it and,
Why would it, is he that bad though? Was it his heart? I mean, why was he to
So he, this is the interesting thing. He had 5 jabs and then developed throat, stomach, and liver cancer.
Turbo cancer.
Well,
can I ask you, pre-COVID, have you ever heard the term turbo cancer?
No, it doesn't exist. What turbo cancer is, you're terminal. So normally when people come in, they're feeling sick and they're stage 1, stage 2, whatever the case may be. We've found something, and we can work with that. But as I've said to many patients, don't come to me when you're terminal, because I can't do anything for you.
Yeah.
The best thing you can do is sort out your affairs and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're terminal. So he'd had an 8-hour operation, but the interesting thing is he blamed us unvaxxed, saying that if we were all responsible and had taken the jab, there wouldn't be any COVID and he wouldn't be sick the way he is now. And if he had more jabs, he would have been protected and not gotten sick. So he ended up dying fully believing that COVID's a real thing, the jab's going to save the world, and he should have had more jabs than 5 jabs. And the safest dose for, these jabs is no dose. And yet he had 5.
Even though, pretty obviously what did him in, he actually blames you.
He blames all the unjabbed.
Yeah.
All the unjabbed.
But you as the closest ambassador.
Oh, absolutely. Hated my guts. Hated my guts because I was a clinician and obviously not jabbed. And
how do you cope with that? He's your brother.
Well,
my brother doesn't talk to me.
Yeah.
It's a similar thing.
Yeah, well, adults can make their own decisions.
Yeah.
Okay, but when it comes to children and the elderly, that's where I have an issue. So if you're an adult and you're advised and said, look, this is the information, read it, make your own decision, what you want to do, that's up to you. But when you're talking kids who aren't, able to do that, or, older people who aren't able to do that, that's where I have a really big issue. But as far as adults are concerned, if you want to take the jab, or you want to take whatever, drug you want, doesn't matter if it's legal or illegal, that's entirely up to you. That's your business.
It's your freedom.
Yeah, it's got nothing to do with me. So that's why it's the kids,
Yeah.
in particular, because they're our future.
But with your other brothers in jail now, I take it he thought it was the jab, and that's why he's lost his.
I don't know. I really don't know. But he's never been to prison or anything like that.
So he's
lived a very comfortable life. He's lived a very, very comfortable life, and then all of a sudden he's in Hakea first. And then they only moved him, it's only maybe a week ago, into Casuarina prison. And like I said, he's got a video link with the magistrate or judge, whatever it is, we're Tuesday today, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So, yeah, 3 days. So, it just destroys everything, absolutely everything. So, but the other thing you got to understand too, Michael, is they're all jabbed.
Yeah.
They're all jabbed. And, unless they do something about it, it's like cancer. If you don't do anything about it, it'll get you.
Yeah.
Give it time, it'll get you.
But turbo cancer is different because, people used to get cancer to be like a year, 2 year, 3 year battle.
Yeah.
Now it can be weeks.
Yeah.
Now it can be even quick. And I've even met people unjabbed who are getting turbo cancer.
Yeah.
And they're gone within 10 days. There's quite a few we've met.
Yes.
So it's not whether you're jabbed or unjabbed now. This is, we have things happening to us that have never happened before. And we're not allowed to talk about it.
That's the whole issue. Yeah, we're not allowed to talk about it. And we're also at risk.
I know.
Because, like I said, it's in the air.
Yeah.
It's absolutely everywhere. We're at risk. We're at risk of everything that someone who's mainlined it into their arm, we're at risk. So mainlining is one thing, but, breathing it all in, we've all been poisoned. So because I get sick, I've already written to the US. There's a company in America that does quantitative measuring. So, so all we've got here in Australia, supposedly a first world country, is they'll say your antigens, you're either positive or negative.
Yeah.
But you need a number. It's like anything else. You don't go to a plumber and say, look, I need this done. And they say, well, how much do you need done? Or you go to Bunnings and you say, look, I need some timber. And they go, yeah, well, how much do you need? You need a measurement. So, if you've got under 1,000, you're reasonably okay, but you're still infected, obviously. But if you're 10,000 or 12,000 or 15,000, you're in trouble. So we don't have that. This is what I'm talking about with like technology.
Yeah.
We don't have that technology here. So, and once again, once you find out the levels of antigens in your body, you need to know then which part of the body is it moving to, which part is it damaging the most. So you need to be able to measure all those types of things.
And none of this is happening.
None of it's happening.
Instead, we just got silence, they're all baffled.
Correct.
As a nurse with all your experience, and including your partner's experience, do you think we've been eradicated?
Yes, of course. It's a war. That's what happens during war.
And we just have to be polite about our eradication.
Yeah. It's a war. I mean, the way I look at it is we're the civilians in the war.
Yeah.
And we just have to, we have to survive this war, because we have to rebuild this once the war's over, because everything has a beginning and everything has an end.
So here we are, we have all these people protesting about what's happening in Palestine.
Yep.
And yet were suffering the same,
Yeah,
but we're not allowed to mention it.
correct.
We're allowed to support other people who are dying, but we're not allowed to even mention that we are.
You're 100% right. And what I care about is Australia.
Which sounds like a lunatic asylum.
Well, it is. It's madness. But you see,
And just to finish, it's a lunatic asylum, and yet here we have a highly qualified mental health nurse. And in this lunatic asylum, the lunatics see you as the crazy one.
Yeah, I'm a cooker, mate. And I wear that with pride. You know, I'm a cooker, I'm a conspiracy theorist, anti-vax. You know, the names, the lists, I mean, I've heard it a million times, and it's like, you know, well, what can you do? I mean, all you can do is, like I said, survive the war. Once the war's over, then you can then help people.
Rebuild.
So, yeah, rebuild.
Can I ask, what have you and your partner done to survive this? Because that's a long period out of work.
Cleaning houses,
So two highly qualified medical professionals, and our hospitals are crying out for staff cleaning houses.
No. So the missus, she went into, you know, because I'm quite, you know, I one of the things I do, I love research. So, you know, I spend I spend all my time reading.
Yeah.
You know, I love to, you know, read. I don't read fiction stuff. I read, you know.
You keep up with like Van der Bosch and all this stuff like this.
Yeah.
You're keeping up with that.
Yeah, I keep up with, you know, with the information that's coming out from around the world.
Yeah.
You know, so I do that stuff, and you know, it's you know, I mean, it's the same with any new whatever's coming out. I like to research, read. So once, you know, so the missus, she went, cleaned houses, and she's now selling men's clothing. So she does that, and now I mean, she's just amazing, and she's studying Chinese medicine now. And the textbooks are just amazing. I mean, I spent, you know, nearly 13 years in tertiary education, and I've had enough of tertiary education. And she's gone back into it, and I read her textbooks, and they're just fantastic.
Wow.
So, you know, we don't just need, you know, what the medicines that we've got today, but we need, you know, the medicines that they've been using for thousands of years.
Yeah. We have to re-educate ourselves.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. Can I ask, it's almost like the Matrix was that you can inject health. That's how, you know, the system that we live under. It's like you want to get healthy, you take a jab. You know, instead of where the Chinese are all different.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Going up here, just as we're going now, where do you see the hope going forward? So, I mean, you're surviving all your loved ones sick and dying, your brother in this terrible state, you've lost another brother, you know, all these things you're going through. Where do you see the hope for all of us going forward? Because I know we've got this war coming on. They're talking of famine now, maybe. The petrol shortage. I mean, we just drove in the country into your farmer. On the way back, and we saw no vehicles. There's no cars out there. So that everything's changing. Everything's in flux. No one really knows what's going on. And we can feel a dark storm approaching us. So as this dark storm approaches us now, like COVID #2, where do you see the hope?
So there's a couple of things there. I've watched the disintegration of Australian Western society throughout my career. And, you know, you've got two choices in life. You either want to be alive or you want to be dead. That's it. So if you want to be dead, knock yourself out. You know, I mean, if someone wants to die, they'll find a way. They'll drive the car at 1,000,000 miles an hour into a tree.
We see the white crosses everywhere.
Yeah. So I like living. I like breathing.
Me
I'm very addicted to breathing. It's a very good thing. So I have no interest in dying whatsoever.
Yeah.
And the other big thing that has dissipated over, the decades for a long time is faith.
Mm.
So if you believe, and it doesn't matter what faith you have, if you have faith that things will get better, you will make it through. So we all live in hope. And the sun comes up again tomorrow, like it always does, and you just make it through. It's like anything, like this. What's the old Indian saying? How do you eat an elephant?
Mouthful by mouthful.
One mouthful at a time.
Yeah.
So we just break it down. Let's just survive today, and let's see what tomorrow brings.
But
That's
still
all we
haven't.
can do.
But saying that, you haven't actually given in, complied, gone and take the jab, begged to get back in. You're actually still standing
Yeah,
by.
but if I went and took the jab, I would be deliberately killing myself.
Yeah.
And I'm not suicidal.
Yeah.
And I don't want to kill myself. I have
No.
no interest in killing myself or anyone else.
But even here in this period of silence now, to speak out like you are is a form of defiance. It's almost like an act. It's like a guerrilla action almost, because they're trying to get all of us to be quiet. So to have the courage to speak out, as you do in this quiet time, I call it's like, I believe we're in a thing called an army of light. That's what I call it.
That makes sense.
We choose that we're going to fight on our feet.
Yeah.
We believe that, because the other option is to live on our knees in their world of lies.
Not going to happen.
Not going to happen.
It's
So
simple.
this is what and the choice is, that's our choice. Die on your feet or live on your knees.
You're absolutely right. And humans they like to complicate things.
Yeah.
But it's very, very simple. Like I was saying earlier, you either want to live or you want to die.
Yeah.
You either want to do this or you want to do that. It's very, very simple. So I could have stayed in the industry and jabbed, as many people as possible and made money and all that kind of stuff. But instead, you go, hang on, I'm not playing this game. I didn't get into this game to kill people or hurt people or anything like that. So I'm not playing this game. So I pop smoke and boom, I'm gone. Lost 13 weeks long service leave.
Wow.
Because I left without resigning. So technically I broke service.
Yeah.
So they refused to pay me my long service leave. And I'm like, keep you 13 weeks.
Yeah.
And obviously haven't been able to return. So let's say between the two of us, let's say, but just basic numbers, $100,000 each a year. So 7 years. So there's 700,000 by 2. There's $1.4 million gone. So
It's value, isn't it? What's the
what's
value?
money? Exactly. What's your price? How much?
Yeah.
What are you worth?
Yeah.
How much will you,
Yeah.
And it's so amazing to see that, and I have people say to me, oh, well, I had a mortgage to pay and I had this to pay and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, what, I drive a Bugatti. I've got a $40 million house.
Yeah.
I've got $1 billion portfolio.
It all comes down to choice.
It's like, hang on, I don't know. The most important thing in life is life.
Yeah.
It's to me, it's really quite simple. So, I obviously want to live and get through this. And then once we're through this, then we can then help the people that are still obviously alive and help them, the injured people, because there's a lot of us, and I know a lot of people, that are, clinicians of various types and specialities that want to help people. But we can't help people at the moment because, one, there's still this cloud over us. And two, you need the tools of the trade. So you need a facility, you need, it's like hospitals. It costs a couple of $1 billion to build, a couple of $1 billion to equip, then a couple of $1 billion to run, because they're labour-intensive industries. So until you've got all that sort of stuff, and obviously you start off small in the sense of, somewhere where you can work from, the equipment, the people, and it just then obviously grows. But we're the outliers of the health service. And with the health service, it needs to be a multifaceted, multi-discipline health service where you have natural therapies, you have holistic therapies, you have herbs, you have ancient
To simplify it,
treatments,
instead of sick care, you need health care.
Correct. So
That's from Dr. Paul Oosterhuis. He doesn't want to do it anymore.
And I understand why.
Yeah.
I absolutely understand why, and this is why the missus is doing Chinese medicine.
Can I just say, just to wrap this up, and hopefully we meet again, I'd love to talk to you further. You said at the first bit when you were looking after all the wounded veterans that you've never been in a war, so you don't know how you react. Well, I would challenge you on that. I think you've been in a war for 6 years. And myself, who's also been in the same war, I would proudly be in the foxhole with you, brother.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
It's been a pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you very much.
And I think we'll take this as another part as we go forward.
Yeah.
And let's just see this as we've got to hear. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Yeah, you too. Thank you for all your work
No
you're
worries.
doing. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.